colors and drawing and all of this. And now here I am, like, making things that have a more profound meaning and making statements with my work.
That's really great.
And when people ask me, so what does that one mean? And why did you put that in there? And I'm going like, that it's what I feel, and it's what I, and I'm like, wow, this is great.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So let me ask you a couple of questions. When people put things, quilt in shows that you've quilted on, do they usually include the attribution to you that you were the person that, like, and try to get to the kind of intellectual property question. So do they include your name as the person that quilted the quilt?
You ask them to. I'm not a big, I don't push it very hard.
Yeah.
But I would expect them to, mainly because it is the work that I do, and I would include anybody else's name. As a matter of fact, when I use fabrics from different stores, and I know that all these fabrics came from the same store, I will list that on my label of my quilt. So,
and do you always label your quilts?
I always label my quilts now. And when
I was just talking to Quilt Alliance today, and they've got this, label campaign to get everybody to label their quilts. So I'm more aware of that now.
Good. And see, this quilt that I told you that I have of my grandmother's, we didn't think anything of it when we first got it. And I see she wrote on it with a Marks-a-Lot.
Interesting.
And she wrote her name on it.
That's
and
so
I
cool.
Wish she had dated it.
Yeah. When do you think it's from? What era do you think it's from?
Oh, well, I think it has to be at least, I would think it would be 60 or 70 years old.
Wow.
But I do want to take it and have someone see if they can date it.
Yeah. Really cool.
Yeah.
Now, when you enter, we have the Gulf Coast. I want to talk to you about quilt guilds in just a second, but there also is a show. There are 2 shows. Well, there's a number of shows. There's all kinds of shows here. Do you enter your own quilts into shows?
I have had the opportunity to enter 2 shows, and I won 3rd place in both those shows.
Really? Which shows did you tell me?
And that was Gulf States Quilting Association show.
Very cool.
And the one up in Mississippi, which is, in Vicksburg, Old Man River.
Oh, cool.
And so I enjoy shows.
Yeah.
And my primary reason for entering in a show was to be judged so that I could get critiqued on my techniques.
Interesting.
So when I first entered in a show, I didn't tell anybody. I just snuck it in there. When I won, I came back and told my group, and they said, "You didn't tell us." And I said, well, it was kind of dependent upon how things came out.
Like what the result was. That's right.
Exactly.
That's funny. I love it.
But I learned a lot because those notes, they were consistent. They, I could agree with everything that they said. All of my shortcomings, I looked at it and said, I agree.
Interesting.
So
that's a good reason to put stuff in the show so you could get criticism, critique back to improve.
Oh, yes. If you're not a thin-skinned person,
yeah,
I think you owe it to yourself because I think, if I do one day want to get a first place quilt, but I don't know if I would want to put in, all of the hard time of putting things together, thinking that I'm a first placer if I'm making a simple error all along the way. Yeah. So I kind of feel that the types of things that they told me. They talked to me a little bit about my binding and the way I was putting my binding on. So I'm just changing those things as I go along so that I can hopefully by this next upcoming show, I'm hoping it won't be a poor marking for me because I feel like I've worked on it. So hopefully I'll pass that part this time.
Very cool. Love it.
Yes.
So cool. So tell me about quilt guilds. What role do quilt guilds play in your life?
I was one of those that didn't think I needed to be in a quilt guild. I thought I'm just going to sit at home and I'm going to quilt and I'm making my little quilts and I'm going to give them to people and that'll be it. Well, I learned that I needed a quilt guild.
Really?
So time I was,
way?
well, you actually need to know what other people are doing.
Yeah.
There are so many different ways to do different quilting techniques until there's nothing wrong with me learning to do a half square triangle or 2 or 3 different ways or different cuts. Some are faster, some are slower, but why not learn that? And the next thing that I think the Guild has done is it's opened my eyes to so many different styles of quilts.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Some people will do just string quilts. And I said, oh, I don't have a stash yet, so I won't be doing string quilts. Well, I learned I did have strings that I should not be throwing away because I could evolve into making this wonderful string quilt. And then I taught my husband to make a string quilt.
You did?
I did.
And did he like it?
He loved it. and he's a really big guy.
That's really great.
And he kept looking at my good fabric and he says, but I want to use some of that. And I said, no, stay in the
keep him in the that's fine. It's so funny because I think I want to do, I really want to interview husbands of quilters or partners of quilters because I think there's a certain breed, like they know how to say like, oh, it looks nice, right? Like they know the lingo, right?
And you know something else I think they learn?
What?
They learn to make the stops along the way for the trips that you're going to go on.
Yeah.
They also learn about how to conduct themselves when you go to a quilt store.
Really? I
see men who learn to be very patient with their wives.
That's really nice.
Yes.
It's funny. I think that I don't know for me, like there's a giving part of quilting, obviously, but there's also like, this is my, Virginia Woolf had this whole thing of a room of one's own. Like you needed a place to write. And quilting for me is kind of my own room. Like I get to think about things and it's just me. Like I get to do stuff. And I think there's a kind of, I don't know, at least for my husband, he kind of respects that in some way. Like, so much of the day is giving for other people and doing other things and obligation, and quilting's my own space. And I think it's really nice when the husband respects that and is supportive of that. And it's, at least for me, really important part of it.
I think it is. And the other thing that I was thinking about with my quilting and with other people that I talk to, having, whether it's a large space or a small space, quilters need to have just a little space that they can call their own. It's something about it that you can start quilting, and even if you had a closet where you could, have your board where you're working through your next design and all of that, but quilters need to be able to put their work down and then come back to it and pick it up right away and go, because that's part of your creativity. Yeah. You don't want to stick it down in a box or something and then have to come back and open that box all the way up and kind of restart your engine. So little spaces are important to quilters. And so when you have someone in your life that, your spouse or a partner that can respect that you need that little space.
Yeah.
You need those little tools that you use. It makes your hobby a lot better.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, so I think that's the next thing is interviewing husbands of quilters or partners of quilters, because I bet they, yeah, because I think it is a certain breed of kindness.
Yes.
So very interesting.
And then we spend a lot of guild time with other quilters and leave them behind. And
Right.
they always want to know, so what are y'all doing today? What are you
Yeah.
Like last Saturday, my husband
Right.
thought, now, why do you have to go out in this weather?
Right. We traveled in every way.
I said,
It was pouring. We all traveled to Baton Rouge. It was about an hour and a half from here. And I didn't know if we were going to be able to, we'd have to swim home. It was so rainy. And yet there we all were. There were over almost 200 of us in a room where the rain was so loud we could barely hear the speaker.
That's right.
But there we were.
But it was a quarterly meeting. And I had to explain to him, if I miss this meeting, I missed the whole quarter.
Yeah.
So, we only have 4 of these a year. He
Right.
says, go to other meetings. I said, no, but it's not this one.
Yeah. Now, will you go to is it Pensacola, the next one? Will you go to that one, do you think?
It depends on if my quilting buddies are ready to ride.
Got it.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I feel the same way. I'm like,
All I need is somebody to say, let's go.
I'm there for you. We can do it.
Okay, we're good.
So the Gulf Coast Quilt Guild is one guild that you belong to. Do you belong to other ones besides that?
Oh yes, I belong to, actually 3 now. I have one group that I quilt with, and that's Beecher Memorial Church.
Yeah.
That's with Sealy Pedestal.
Yep. And I've been there. I did a field trip. I want to go back and do some. It was right when I was starting the project, so I wasn't quite sure what I was doing at that point. But I want to go back because that was such a fun day. I went there.
Oh, please come back because we meet on the 3rd Saturday of each month.
I think it'd be great.
And we, within that particular group, we have our own quilt show. And because we're not part of a larger guild, we are an individual group and we work independently as a group.
Now, when is your show? I couldn't remember when it was. We were talking about this today.
This year, we are moving it to June.
Oh, you are?
Normally, it's in March, but we had some members with travel issues and all. So we
Sealy, who's taking this ridiculous cruise, right?
That's Sealy. That is it.
You can't have it without Sealy, right?
Well, the key part of this is that we want to make sure that we have everybody's ready, and when you mentioned moving it, I think some of us had a sigh of relief that we knew we needed to have our pieces ready, and we have to
get a little extra time. I totally get that. I like that.
Is the Centennial.
Uh-huh.
And we really would love for people to come out and see, the pieces that we work on.
Very cool.
And a number of the people in that, Sealy is an artist.
Sealy's amazing. I think Sealy, that's one of my missions now, because I've been to her house twice. We still aren't through all of the quilts. We have to go back a 3rd time. We're talking hours. But she's people have just got to see more of her stuff because she's just incredible. I mean, I know she's nationally known and all that, but the amount of, she's just like this. I mean,
she comes with an idea that just kind of, it just hangs on, and she can, and that's the part, that expression.
Yeah.
And And Sealy actually, when I